Y'all got me weak. Welcome to Why Not Us podcast, man. You know, we're a little late, but you know, we had a good conversation going on. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know the vibes. Y'all know who it is on this Thursday. You already know Thursday's treasure with Carol and Candace Hart. How y'all feeling today, ladies? How y'all feeling mentally?
Yes, I'm feeling groovy. Hey. I'm feeling groovy.
Hey.
Groovy. Groovy is that word really came out of the 70s and you were in baby heaven, but that's a great word. Yeah,
I resonate with them.
Okay, all right. Feeling fantastic. Just everything's great. It's all gravy.
That's good. Y'all in the LA, y'all in the Cali, y'all up there with it's not even cold that much today, is it for y'all?
Oh no.
Wow.
It's beautiful. It's sunny. They in the pool today. They swimming today. I told them I got to knock out some meetings, but I might just go cannonball in too.
Yeah, that's the energy. That's the energy right there. So it ain't never cold. It's just warm. Like it never rains in Southern California, but I know it rains.
It rains, but it's really like random, and it never really lasts long. And people out here just be mad because then their car get messed up.
Okay.
Like I just got a car wash. That's it.
I got my car wash. It rains once every 6 months. You'll be all right.
Dang, that's man. What about like volcanoes and stuff like that? They be talking about is all cap.
No, you
that's
know,
in Hawaii.
Hawaii. This is quote unquote, earthquake country.
Okay.
I can't even remember the last time I felt a jolt.
Okay.
But it freaks people out, but nah.
Okay.
Nah, we good.
I feel like it keep happening when I'm asleep, and I sleep so hard, I don't feel a thing.
So have you ever felt one though? Like, have you ever felt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It'll just be like you could be walking in the middle of your tracks, and it'll just be like everything's moving. Wait a second, and then it'll just stop, and that's it.
Man, I felt one time in North Carolina, maybe like 10 or 11 years ago. And I felt like the world was coming to an end because I never experienced it. And people was like, man, Jesus about to come back. And I had got scared a little bit. But
I love Ted George.
But I had got scared a little bit. Like I really did. I had got scared a little bit. Like, yo. Like I was really scared. And I'm like, man, Jesus about to come back because North Carolina ain't never had a little earthquake. And then I'm like, when you start understanding, like, bruh, y'all was playing with my emotions. But anyway, ladies, what's the topic about today, ladies?
Okay, Candace.
Yes. So we want to talk more about what we do with our profession and our career together, and just what it looks like to be able to help people out with that process of transitioning. Because we living in a day and age where everything is expensive, and people aren't making too much more money after things get expensive. Like gas could be $5 a gallon today. Tomorrow it could be $10 a gallon. But if I'm still making the same money I was making yesterday, I'm losing money because everything's more expensive, but I got the same kind of money. That's the problem, So we want to talk more about how we can help people with additional income by taking advantage of our platform and what those opportunities look like for more income. And also like the mindset process of moving from an employee to an entrepreneur, because it needs to be talked about more.
All right, that's the whole vibe right there. I'm ready to listen to y'all.
Yes.
Yeah, and that we discussed it. We discussed it obviously multiple times because of the nature of what we do. But Candace said something today. I was talking to a business partner in New Jersey, And she was saying, well, my friend really wants to make more money and he's not making it at his job. And I'm like, because he's capped. You capped it, which you can't do there. And so the need for making money is not going to change. She said, well, the frustration is that he doesn't want to do anything else. I said, so pretty much he's hungry, but he doesn't want to eat. She said, I didn't think of it like that. I said, that's essentially it. But it lies in the fact is because his mindset is in that employee mindset, which we're going to tap into. So I literally was having this conversation 2 hours ago. And unless we can get a hold of that person, and I mean that figuratively, and massage and open up his mindset, he'll always be hungry and then be mad about being hungry.
Because he's comfortable where he at, basically.
Right. But he's uncomfortable at the same time, though, you know?
Right.
Yeah. We live by, you know, because everybody thinks taking that leap is risky, you know? Like, I don't want to do it. It's too risky. What if I don't have success? Or what if I fall flat on my face? But the riskiest thing is to stay exactly where you are and knowing that you don't like where you are, but then still choosing that. Like, isn't that the riskiest thing? Because nothing's changing.
Yeah, that is risky.
That's super risky. And literally, Candace, gas is $1.50 more than it was last week.
Literally, just like going up.
Like literally, I was shocked because I was happy with my little $5.29, and I went the other day and it was like $6.30 something. I was like, when did this happen?
Crazy.
Yeah. So you gotta, you know, you can't control that, but you can control you. And the brain is actually meant for us to think. It's a thinking organ. It's not a feeling organ.
Yeah.
And when we talk about what we're going to dive into, it's really a matter of how you change the mindset that literally will drive everything you do, or in some cases, not do.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I want to talk about the thinking process, because I think my mom's got a good segue talking about how we think and what the brain is supposed to do. We're supposed to think with our brain. So many people, being an employee it's a double-edged sword, right? People will stay an employee because, is my connection good?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm frozen. Okay.
No,
I feel like people, they'll stay an employee because that consistent check, right? It's like, I got bills coming every month, so I need consistent income, right? That's very much so doable as a business owner, but they're just scared of that transition process, right? What the problem is with being an employee. The employee, they get that consistent paycheck in exchange for giving up their dreams outside of that job. And then so every day that you show up to work, you know that you got that consistent paycheck. So it adds this level of comfortability because I feel like I'm stable. I got that consistent money coming in, but you aren't chasing your dreams. So you're a little bit of you, that superstar inside of you is dying every day because you're not letting that superstar thrive. So naturally, you're being conditioned like a robot. Even though you want to go and do amazing things in the world, you're not doing them because I'm going to just say it, you're a slave to this paycheck, right? And so now, because you're conditioned to show up at a certain time, leave at a certain time, do this task, do that task that has no alignment with what your goals are outside of that job. Now, when an opportunity is presented to you to actually be the superstar that's been hidden inside of you all along, you can't even fathom what that looks like because you're so conditioned to just being the employee, to just having that consistent income. So even the thought of you becoming the best version of yourself is scary, right? Like, it's like, I can't even imagine that. I'm not going to do it. Even though it's possible and it's right in front of your face, some people will turn it down. And then even worse than that, they'll go back and talk to people that aren't living the goals and the dreams that they want to live, expecting them to give them conducive advice so that they can become that person. It's like, we want to be financially free, but I'm going to get advice from my grandma that might be living paycheck to paycheck. But because she's my grandma, I'm going to still go to her for advice. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And it's like some of the closest people to us, The loudest voices in our ears, the most influential people to us, can sometimes be our deficit, simply because we have that strong bond and that strong relationship. But if you haven't attained what I'm trying to achieve, I shouldn't be getting advice from you, respectfully. I can love you to death, but you can't show me how to do something you haven't done yourself. And so that's the hard part, because when you transition to the entrepreneur, you want to continue to do what you used to do, but you got to start doing stuff you ain't never did before. And that's the uncomfortable part, the unfamiliar part, and the part where sometimes people will have relapses. Now, I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm thinking like an employee still. I'm still taking advice from other employees because they're my people, but they haven't did what you're trying to do. So you got to get some new mentors. You got to get some louder voices that have already done it in your ear, so you know what you're doing.
Ooh.
And that's more than a mouthful. That's true. And even that's just about the comfortability of everything. You know, it's comfortable for me to do this and not to do that. But I think we're in such a serious time in our lives because we have this World Wide Web. We've got all these platforms that we can actually get information. You know, Candace and I, and along with a lot of people we do business with that are entrepreneurs, we're heavily into listening and watching podcasts. People that are feeding entrepreneurs with, you know, the ability to pivot, how to stay in the game, how to accept quote unquote rejection. I don't even use that word in my vocabulary. It's just here for that. But just how do you mentally stay strong? And there's so many ways to get that. I mean, 10, 15, 20 years ago, if it wasn't in a book or somebody stood in front of you in a room, that you couldn't get information. And now we've got information all over the place. And it's actually a freaking gold mine. I mean, I wasn't bored, but I had some downtime. I said, let me just look at some other podcasts. And I found like 3 other podcasts by Black women who are doing what we do. I had never even heard of them. And I started listening to what they were saying. Same kind of food, just a different recipe. And it was just really, really powerful. And I was sitting there thinking, okay, you know, I'm almost 60. And I never would have had this kind of opportunity to have my mind fed in this platform 15, 20 years ago. And I feel like some people your age and Candace's age are living like they're still in the 60s and the 70s.
Yeah.
Because they just don't put themselves out there to like even get the information. So I always, when I hear us talking like this, I always want to have compassion for people who literally are paralyzed in fear of moving. I am compassionate upon that because I get it. However, I challenge you to really think deeply, like when you really stop and meditate that this literally could be my last day on earth. What is that 1, 2, or 3 things, God, you wish you had done? And I guarantee you wouldn't have gone to your employer to get permission to do that stuff.
Yeah.
So take the time to at least write every day, journal every day, dream every day. Even just feeling the sun on your skin, I have found is a catalyst for me even thinking better. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I don't know. But there may be some scientific reason on why sun on your skin just opens you up and just allows you to feel more alive. And, you know, you're really in it's called a dead end job for a reason. You really die there. You know, you live every day for 5 o'clock. You live every week for Friday. You live for months to get a 2-week vacation. Think about it. We weren't built for that.
That's not humanity. That's not living, you know. What does Nicki Minaj say? Just to live doesn't mean that you're alive, you know. It takes more to actually really do this life thing, and that's so robotic. You're being programmed, you know. Show up at this time, leave at this time. You can only go to the bathroom during these time frames, you know. You can only be sick this amount of times out the year. You can only have vacation time, and I'm only gonna pay you for vacation time this amount of that time. Like, it is just not living. It's not. And so many people will literally sell their dreams for that consistent paycheck, not even realizing through the process of working at that job, you're dying a little bit every day inside. You're not living. You're dying.
Right. And we're not here to promote today is Thursday, so tomorrow leave your job. No, we're not promoting that. What we're saying is that, most people take the time to plan a vacation more than they do to plan their life and their dreams. They'll literally sit on a computer for hours and figure out the Airbnb, the flights, and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, we won't spend that same time for our exit plan. So even for me, because, and I don't know, listeners, I taught school for 35 years before this journey came for me and being an entrepreneur. And it just meant that I had to start taking very intentional steps daily, weekly, sometimes hourly on what my exit plan was going to look like. And I did it on my quote unquote time on the clock. So there were times I probably should have been doing some other things, but I had to be self-serving. And I love being in the fact that when people say to me, but I don't have time, let me mentor you, coach you, and teach you. You do have time. You just don't know how to structure that. And so I don't want anybody to be listening to us thinking, well, I don't know where to start. Was because, like Candace said, you've been talking to the wrong people or the wrong entities. So I am completely comfortable in saying this very publicly, that we will be happy to sit with you and talk to you and give you some mentoring on what that looks like. Because I know literally people can't go in tomorrow and tell their boss, you can kiss my behind, I'm out. I get that. But you can start making very strategic moves and steps so that, you're not in the same place, and this is the best thing about my mind is just reeling. This is October, right? Mm-hmm. What Candace and I are going to hear, if we haven't already heard it, I know I have, with people meeting with us, well, the holidays are coming up. We got more excuses for not moving forward than anybody in our community that I've ever heard. I've had late time of the day, well, she got to start thinking about Halloween. Really? That's a day. It's one day. And we're going to forego your financial future for a costume.
Right.
So, and that's just the mindset. So, you're looking for, where do I start? How do I get that? How do I eat off of that side of the table? We can help you with that. For sure.
Yeah. So ladies, how do people shift their mindsets? Like, how do people really shift their mindsets? Do you think they'll have to be provoked? You know what I'm saying? Provoked? Because sometimes people have to have things that happen to them to be like, man, I want to live. I want to do this. You know what I'm saying? Because that's basically what happened to me. Like, I was provoked to start this podcast because I was waiting for everybody else. I was waiting for everybody else. I wanted everybody else to come along. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to hold people's hands because I was scared of my greatness. I was scared to take a chance on myself. I didn't trust myself enough. So I wanted to trust everybody else. You know what I'm saying? It was like I had what I needed, but I felt like I needed externally, but when it was really internally.
Right.
You understand? So, yeah, I just had to ask y'all that question.
Yeah. I heard your question. Candace, did you want to go first?
No, you go ahead. You go first.
So I always bring it down as simple as I think we're too busy and we move too much. We're never still enough. So when you really become still, and that really means pragmatically, no sound, no music, a room by yourself for like hours, at minimum an hour, and just let your thoughts rest with you. Get to know who you really are. That's one. We're so busy going, doing, listening, feeling, eating, drinking. We're doing too much. We don't even know who we are.
Yeah.
And then in that process, literally write down on any piece of paper, what do you want? What do you want? And I guarantee you, no matter who you are, it is not going to be, oh my God, I want this job from 9 to 5.
Yeah.
You're going to talk about, I want to travel. I want to be better fit. I want to increase. Everybody wants something in life that requires a tool of money. I don't care what it is. We might want to travel, car. I want my kids to be better. I want to see my grandparents, all those things. So then you just say, so, and what I'm doing getting me there. And that's really the first steps. But you got to really know what you want. And you can't do that if you never meet yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to piggyback on what my mother said, because I agree 1000%. We live in a society that has everybody just on panic mode. You know, you turn on the news, there's a whole bunch of bullshit telling you to be worried, hide your kids, hide your wife. Like, it's going down.
Hide your wife.
For real, that's the world that we live in right now.
Yeah, the news is like a fear. It's all about fear, keeping everybody in the.
Us to be scared.
Yeah.
You know, they want us to be in panic mode. They want us to not have that oneness with ourselves. You know, they don't want us to trust this higher power that we good. They want us to turn on the news and take instructions from them on how to live our lives, literally. And that's just crazy to me. Like, I would never take instructions from the news on how to live my life. I would never take instructions from even the government on how to live my life. Like, they don't have our best interests at heart, but that's a whole nother conversation. So what I'm saying is, don't go to these outside sources looking for all of the answers. It's okay to go to places for inspiration and stuff, but be careful on where you take counsel from. Because literally taking the wrong advice from somebody can literally ruin your life if you actually listen to them and end up executing on the wrong thing. You know, so slowing down is key, for one, because the world's moving fast. There's traffic. We got deadlines. I'm sure everybody has a calendar of things to do, right? It's just a lot going on. That's the reality of being an adult in America. That's what it's like. So if you don't carve out that time for just you, your thoughts, your peace, meditation, right? If you're spiritual, prayer, right? Then you're literally living in a constant state of rush, a constant state of nonstop. And that's not good for peace. It's not good for sanity. And it keeps you out of touch with what's actually deep inside. The roots of what you want to do, the roots of who you are. See, and that's the scary part about also being an employee, especially if you don't carve out that time for yourself. Because now I'm so busy doing what you want me to do, because that's how I get paid. I never even had time to think about what I want to do, let alone what it takes to do what I want to do. So taking that time, it gives you time to actually sit with the emotions of it first. That's one of my favorite things about therapy. My therapist will always ask me, I'll tell him something that's going on in my life. And before he even talks to me about it, his first question is, well, Candace, how do you feel about that? And then if I respond and I say, well, I feel slighted. He's like, no. Are you sad? Are you happy? Are you angry? Like, how do you feel? And having the time, you have to make time to really answer those questions, because that's the reality of it. If I'm sad about something, it doesn't make me a weak person. That's just the truth of the matter for this segment of my life. I'm sad that this happened. And because I'm sad about it, now I can come up with action steps to deal with that sadness, to work out of that sadness, right? Using that as an example, but it could be on absolutely anything, you know? That is so key, because if you don't live in that truth, now you're in a scenario where you're not living in your truth. You're in denial on what's real for your life. So now, are you even living your life? Or are you living somebody else's life? Are you putting on this show to make it seem like it's a life that you live and it's not? So now every day is a lie? That's not living.
Yeah. She hit on something really important, which was therapy. Personally, I think it's a lifestyle, because you don't even have to have a hemorrhage in your life to know that you need support.
Yeah.
And you really, really, really get to know who you are in that process with a licensed clinical clinician.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just like when you go shopping, the first pair of shoes you try on might not be what you were looking for. So, you know, even take some intentional time with finding someone to support your emotional health. We don't think twice about going to the dentist if our tooth hurts. But the minute our soul and spirit's not right, we start overthinking therapy and a therapist. What are we doing?
Yeah. If somebody told me the other day, it's like just how we go for routine checkups to the doctor and some of us, we get our hair done every 2 weeks. You can do all these other things to maintain your body, your lifestyle, your health, but then you think twice about therapy. No, everybody needs therapy. Even on your best days, you need therapy, because realistically, you need a safe space where you can talk out loud about things that nobody else may be able to digest, understand, or even have time for, to really meet you there and discuss that kind of stuff. You need to be able to hear your thoughts out loud, say it to somebody else. And so for one, sometimes I'll say stuff and be like, oh shoot, that's the first time I said it out loud. I only said it in my head before now. I don't like how that sounds. Never mind, forget it completely. If you don't have that kind of space, like, you might be making all around the wrong decisions just because you didn't have a place to really exercise it before you practiced it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like now, I'm starting like group sessions, and my friend, she's a therapist, and so October the 20th, starting at 7 p.m. We're about to do a group session, so people will be able to really speak on their feelings and be able to just be in a safe space and being able to talk about the problems that they're having. So I'm excited about that, because a lot of people are just suffering in silence.
Oh
Yeah.
man, for sure. I got a disturbing email from a friend who was incredibly despondent, and he said, I couldn't call you and I couldn't text you because I'm even embarrassed about how I felt. So he put it in an email, and I responded, instantly. But you're right, people are really hurting, and I think a lot of employees are hurting. And the pandemic to me has done a world of good in the midst of a painful situation. And one of which is even this topic, is that the fact that because people really started to see, like, I know every therapist I've had during since the pandemic said that they can't keep up with the work. There's so many people that need support and help, whether they're 2 or 92, that just really need assistance and help. But I think even that, so when you start to do that inner work on your soul, your heart, your spirit, and your thoughts, that is really the first rung in the ladder to having your mindset be right. Because then you realize how much you have possibly been sacrificing, ignoring, negotiating your worth. Like what?
Yeah.
And that room and that space will help you. So it's not always about a mentor. It can be real professional, help for sure.
Yeah.
So I just want to see our community do it. I'm seeing a lot more stuff too, for Black men. And there's a lot of specific podcasts, groups, therapy for Black men, because I understand that they have such particular weight. I mean, we all do, but they have a particular weight that I know I can't identify with because I don't have that plumbing. Like, I don't expect for them to know everything I do with, because I can create life. That's just different. But it's a big deal. And I think the sooner we normalize having the conversations as a whole, we're all going to be better for it.
I agree.
And last thing, I like when Candace was using those words, sad, mad. I had a therapist once that said, let's just change the vocabulary, and started bringing up vocabulary like frustrated, dismissed, ignored. We just think happy, mad, sad. There's so many emotions that we can't label because we don't even have the vocabulary for it.
Yeah.
Totally.
The conversation has to start somewhere,
Yeah.
Yeah. And therapy doesn't always have to be traditional. I do believe that having a licensed therapist is important because they have the education and the expertise to really navigate and guide some really tough stuff. But therapy can also be other forms. Some people say music is therapy.
Right.
Some people will say just a walk in the park with your best friend or by yourself. There's different ways that you can create that space for yourself, and it doesn't have to start with a licensed person. If you want to take baby steps, I say just start by the way I started by carving out just 10 minutes at the top of the day for myself to meditate. And I started with 10 minutes. because that's all I had. That's all I felt like I had time for at the time, right? Because just like a lot of you guys, I felt like I was too busy. Like, I don't have time to just do nothing. I got too much to do. You know? So I'm like, okay, you know what? I do have that little bit of time in the morning where instead of, you know, sleeping in or snoozing one extra 10 minutes, I'm going to just wake up, right? But I'm going to go sit on the couch instead of being in the bed. So that way I don't go back to sleep. And I'm going to close my eyes and I'm just going to play some ocean waves. And I'm literally just going to focus on breathing, because when your mind is moving so fast, it's like that 10 minutes might fly by and you might have thought about so many things. Like, you didn't even really get that time with yourself. So for me, the key was I would silence everything and I would focus on my breath. And what happened for me with that is, for one, I learned how to control my breathing. And then so I saw it in my everyday practice during moments where I would usually get flustered or I would usually get overwhelmed. I literally would stop. I would take a couple of deep breaths, and all of a sudden I was in control of everything all over again. And that was literally where I started, like maybe a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. And then I've expanded my practices now and I've diversified them now. But that was all I could do at the time. I could just sit down on the couch 10 minutes and breathe. That was it. And, you know, even that small focus, it reminded me, for one, I'm human. I found a way to connect with God just in that moment. Not prayer, not saying anything, just breathing, you know, and being thankful for that breath. And just in my everyday, I found ways to just control my energy on a level that I'm so proud of myself today, because it takes a lot to get me to a point that is an ugly point now. You know, I'm not so quick to go off on somebody, or I'm not so quick to let somebody else control me. Because a piece of wisdom someone told me the other day, if the person that gets you angry or the person that makes you pop off, that person controls you. So just remember that. You know, you may think that you're going big on them, but really you're like a puppet now. They pull a string, you go crazy. You're not running your show. They're running your show.
Thanks.
So I'd like to say that when you have a reaction or something is said, like, think about, what is it about me that I'm bothered by what they said? Yeah, it's focusing even on them. It's more on me. But that comes from having spent time, like, for work, to work on yourself, to know that. I love that, Candace, because I remember when you would pop off, like, real quick.
Real quick.
For sure, ladies. I put y'all numbers in the chat. I put both of y'all numbers in the chat. And sis was up here. She put facts, but she I guess she left, but she did comment up here. Yeah. So I left the numbers up here so they can get in contact with y'all, let them know like what y'all do. Cause I mean, y'all the sauce, y'all know what to do. You feel what I'm saying? So it's up for the people to either hit y'all up or just stay in the same spot that they're in. So that's on them, because y'all good. You feel what I'm saying? And y'all come up here every Thursday, you know, reaching out, you know, having these messages, and y'all have the facts. So it's up for the people to do what they do. You understand what I'm saying? So that's just like with anything. You feel what I'm saying? Like, if people, I come up here every day with my podcast. As long as I reach one person, that's all that matters to me. You understand what I'm saying? I reached that one person, and it is what it is. The right people gonna come along. So that's the vibe right there. So
absolutely,
that's true.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all.
Well, yes, we appreciate you.
You know the vibes, man. Hey, we gonna have another episode. Me, Candace, and Kara one day. Y'all stay tuned. I ain't gonna tell y'all what it's about yet. But y'all gonna be weak. Y'all gonna be laughing. I can't tell y'all what it's about, but it's funny because we all got stories.
Yes,
we all got stories. That's all I'm saying. And I don't know, y'all might not have the story. Might not be for y'all, but it's for somebody. You know the vibes, man. I appreciate y'all, ladies, man.
I love you, sis. I love you
too. All right. Peace and blessings.
All
Peace
right.
and blessings, y'all. Bye.
Bye.
What you wanna be. See what you wanna see. Go where you wanna go. Oh. Why not? Why not us? Why not us? Why not? Why not us with Ken J? Why Not Us podcast with Ken J.